Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Hondo Carpenter, and I am also your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI, joined as I am each and every Saturday by the one and only, a decorated journalist and a highly successful attorney in the Atlanta Buckhead area, the great Jonathan Shop. John, good to have you back on the program, my friend.
Always a pleasure. It's a special Saturday. It's an interesting Saturday. There's a lot of madness out there, a lot of March Madness out there, a lot of people getting pumped up for spring, and a little tribute is feeling. We're feeling a little tribute in the air as the great founder of Hard Knocks, Marty Connler, passed away this past week at a huge name in terms of music videos that back when MTV was a thing, in terms of filming stand-up, and in terms of football. The world that he brought us into with Hard Knocks, it won't be forgotten. And a little later, we're going to talk about the world of the quarterback that is once again going to be under examination.
I agree. All right, John, I want to start with the Raiders because they've done something as they've transformed who they are. And it goes back to Dave Ziegler, Tom Telesco, and now with John Spytek. They have quarterback, running back issues. They go get Raheem Mostert, who's a good role player, Geno Smith. But what they've done is they're still a team with a lot of need, but nothing glaring. So everybody in the NFL is sitting there looking at them at 6, and nobody really knows what they're going to do. That is exactly where you want to be because you're high enough that people want to move up to get the guy they want. And with nobody really knowing what you're going to do, they have essentially set themselves up for a big trade down for a lot of value. Doesn't mean they'll get it, but they've set themselves up for it. It's brilliant offseason leadership by the Raiders. Would you discuss that, please?
Historically, teams and organizations that have been looking to do a major reboot like to have options. A lot of times they like to stack draft picks. We saw the Patriots do that more successful than really anybody in NFL history. And we've seen some others do some things in the past with it. So the Raiders sit in a spot, and I think it's fair to say nobody's going to do something wacky in front of them that drops a guy like Brock Bowers to them like last year. That's not going to happen. So what options are they going to have? Are they going to have a shot at a quarterback they want to take? Are they going to have a shot at somebody who would either score a touchdown or keep a touchdown from being prevented, which you would want to take at that high value of a pick? Or are they going to be able to almost do some reverse engineering and see which teams might need something they can get here at 6 that they can't get at 8, at 9, at 12, and what can we maybe get out of them? So this is a real strategic opportunity. And some of the work that was done in the past has set them up for this. I don't know that there is a total slam dunk that the Raiders are going to look for. It sure doesn't seem like it. It seems like the right thing to do is have ideas and scenarios in mind, look at what options are on the table, and then figure out what works best. You're not likely to have a potential Hall of Famer just fall to you because somebody else above did something wacky. I don't think that's going to happen maybe ever again. But it does create an interesting situation because the Raiders may like a lot of guys, and they may be able to get one of those guys they'd be happy with a good step or two further back in the first round while going ahead and pulling in some other draft picks like you talk about. 6 is an interesting position. It's an interesting position.
I'll tell you, John, every NFL person I talk to who I trust, and you've done this with me for a couple decades, so you know I know them, tells me this is the worst drafting league ever in its history. And there could be a couple of really good ones that fall to them. There could be some really stupid stuff. This is going to be fascinating. I want to turn to the proposed rule changes.
Yes.
Because dumb, dumber, and dumbest is exactly how I feel about them. I know that you and I are absolutely in unity here. This is stupid. Okay, I can't beat you, so I'm going to legislate you. I can't beat you, so I'm going to make laws to stop you. It's a typical play by losers. I'd love your thought on it.
Let's talk about the push issue first of all. For a league that seems to do everything they can to promote offense, all of a sudden they don't want to promote a rugby style play They don't want to promote some running game? Come on. If you want to make a rule that says you can only have one guy push at a time, I think that may be a reasonable accommodation. If you want to ban this rugby style play, I don't think it's a great idea. Why don't we see the game react to it? Why don't we see more teams do it? Why don't we see teams do it on first down and second down? Why don't we see them run jumbo packages and see the defenses adjust? And then all of a sudden, you're going to see the offenses adjust and open the field back up. This is a strange one to me. I don't think it should be approved. There is a rugby root in the sport of football. I don't mind this, and I don't see a player safety issue. I haven't seen one yet. I don't know. Now, some of the other rule changes may be a little different story.
All right, let's talk about them.
Seeding with the wild card versus division champs. Easy accommodation here. The Lions brought this up, said, hey, come on, what are we doing here? Well, let's continue to reward the division champion by giving them the home game. I don't mind if they seed otherwise. That's fine. What are you flipping the seeds? That's fine. Is it going to affect games after the first round, wildcard weekend? That sounds fine to me. I don't have a problem with figuring out a way to both reward the division champion and seed more accurately per record, per conference record, whatever it would be. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people supporting the idea of just throwing out the value of winning the division championship. Otherwise, just throw out the divisions altogether, which some people have recommended. It's worth considering. But this is an interesting idea to continue to consider seeding different. I think you might be able to do both. And if it looks wacky through week one of the playoffs, that's fine. But it should sort itself out pretty quickly from there. Now, shall we talk about the overtime discussion as well? Because the idea was dumb, dumber, and dumbest. You out there, slot them how you want. What is the purpose of overtime? It is to decide the darn game. That's it. It's to decide the game. It's not to extend it out for another hour and a half. No. In the regular season, we need overtime to do one thing: decide this contest. I like the NFL to put the thinking caps on, to drag some people into the competition committee who have no other job in football other than that and figure it out. How about we give somebody the ball? Both teams get the ball somewhere around their 40 or 45 yard line. And how about you accelerate it? So if there is a touchdown, the next round, if you will, instead of spotting it at the 40, you move it on the other side to the 40. No extra points, only 2-point conversions, and you keep going from there. That might be a more exciting and a way to resolve the contest. Overtime is designed to resolve it. If you want to see a great overtime, folks, you need to find college hockey and find their overtime. It is exciting, it is fast, and it gets the job done a lot. And if it doesn't, they accommodate it with a shootout. What's a good idea is giving both teams the ball in regular season for the NFL overtime. Overtime is there to decide the game. For overtime in regular season, let's get the darn game decided. If you want to reform it or something for the playoffs, that's fine. Believe me, these folks down here in Atlanta, they'd be for that.
I say go to the college format. I love college much more than I love the NFL. Just get it over with. All right.
But I want to adjust it. I don't want the ball at the 25. It's too darn close. I don't want it at the 45 or the 50. Give the Bengals the ball at their 40. And let's see if they go down for 3. Let's see if they go down for a touchdown. And then give it to the Chiefs on the other side at their 40 for round 1. And then incrementally move it in. I like what you're saying. The NFL needs their own version of that college way.
I agree. I want to go back, though, to the tush push. I had an NFL executive say to me the other day when this rule was announced, because I hated it. He said, when colleges started to do the wide open offense, everyone's like, it'll never work in the NFL. He goes, and then when it got to the NFL and started to work, it would be like them saying, okay, we're going to overrule it because it's working and no one can stop it. He said, now the game has gone back towards the pro style because teams adjusted to fixing it. He goes, I hate this. You don't legislate because you lost. I thought that was a good one. John, I want to talk to you about identifying sleepers, because the legends are made in the NFL executive world by guys who make their living outside of the first round. Let's talk about identifying sleepers.
It's fascinating to hear people talk about this who've been involved and who've drafted players and who've found them. Because when we think about a sleeper, typically it's somebody under the radar, but a lot of times that's somebody that has an outstanding characteristic or trait. They've got an ability to run extremely fast. They've got a size advantage, or maybe they can do one very specific thing that makes them actually worth a pick. I'm thinking about, of course, the guys from the NFC East in the old days, the Parcells, the Gibbs. How would they look at this stuff? Bobby Beathard, Bill Polian, Ron Wolf. If you're looking for a sleeper, you're looking for something specific. And a lot of times, to circle back to what we talked about last time at the Senior Bowl, you're absolutely right. There are scouts literally with probably nothing else to do but look for sleepers. Look for sleepers here. It is really cool to see somebody become a sleeper to a star. What's interesting is at this time of year, what are your teams doing to identify sleepers? And I think it's typically got to do with something outstanding that a player does, some kind of outstanding physical trait or characteristic, or something that's identified where, oh my gosh, this guy could be a star. Josh Allen, Joe Flacco. Are there other guys in this era of transfer portal that went somewhere else? And it's like, you know what? This guy is a sleeper in that we think he's valued way up here, and other people have him, here in the middle rounds, or they don't even have him at all. Sean McVay comes to mind because when he got to the Rams, I believe he went ahead and found some sleepers pretty quick. It's an interesting thing to watch from the Raider perspective. What do they do in those later rounds? Are these names that we know and can see and can expect, or is there maybe a surprise or two where it's like, where did that guy come from? Well, the follow-up will be, why did they draft him? And I think those are some of the characteristics and traits that inspire teams to go ahead and identify and reach for a sleeper.
John, let's turn our attention to the free agency. The general consensus among fans is, well, it's all been picked over, but there still are a lot of good players left, a lot of really good role players, and it's far from over.
It feels like it is far from over. And the interesting thing is, you've got some bigger names, Asante Samuel and Willis. You've got some bigger names out there, and Amari Cooper, who obviously has been discussed here in Raiderland. What's left in the tank? What are some of the physical measurables that teams are looking for? Let's just talk about stats for a minute. There's stats that we all see. You can get on the phone and look at stats. I believe there's a whole other side of stats that the public doesn't see. Teams keep their own stats, whether it's different break speeds, whether it's different technical terms. They've got stats and they're running through tape on these guys right now to figure out, if we bring this guy in, is it possible he has gas left in the tank? What could he actually do for us? And again, is there a specialty thing that this person can do for us? Now, I kind of think the old school, a little bit more on the old school lines. I really like, man, I love teams that have a whole bunch of offensive linemen. They're always looking for them because they're so hard to find, or cover cornerbacks because they can be very difficult to find. Let's see what the Raiders do and see what is done in their division relative to the free agents that are left. It's interesting because if you're a Raider fan, people know this, but some are probably like, oh, I didn't really think of it that way. I would start by looking around the neighborhood first. What's going on around me in this division? Are we gaining ground or are we losing ground? Well, what we were just talking about a few minutes ago is a lot of people feel, it seems to be a pretty wide consensus, that the floor for the Raiders is coming up. They are improving the floor. They are managing the downside and raising the downside for that franchise by trying to fill in the most obvious gaps. So it's an interesting thing to do. And obviously, this is just so fascinating for everybody across the NFL. Sometimes it feels overwhelming. What's going on in your division, I think, is an interesting thing to look at. You look at it kind of as it shakes out here at the end of this wave of the free agency. And then again, you're going to look at it at the draft. Boy, that draft, people just get their sleeves rolled up and they're like, here we go. What's going on around the division, I think, is a really interesting thing. As you look at these final free agencies, the bigger names in it, let's see where they go. Maybe puts another couple of the pieces together for what to expect when these teams actually form and start camp.
John, there's a real hard swallow coming for O'Connell and Skoll.
Man, it's a pretty big dice roll, isn't it? They're rolling big dice here. The Vikings have had an interesting ride with the quarterback position in the last 18 months or so, right? From Cousins
Mhm.
skipping town, Sam Darnold exploding, J.J. McCarthy is drafted, doesn't play very much. If anybody's going to pull this off, you'd think Kevin O'Connell's got a great shot. But we're not realizing how big a deal this is for Minnesota. I mean, they've got some serious talent on the offensive side of the ball. For folks that aren't aware, they had a huge, nice window to make a Super Bowl run. And Mike Zimmer honestly blew it. He really kind of blew it. Just ask the players that practically quit his team. Now what? This is a big move for Minnesota. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm just saying they are swallowing hard and saying, this is where I'm going. The future coaching prospects for Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota are going to be defined by this decision. If it works, how well it works, or if it does not. This to me is pretty bold. I'm not sure what the super backup plan is, but it's pretty clear that there's not a real big backup plan. They got McCarthy for what, 2 more years on the rookie deal. This is a big move. And I'm very curious to see how it goes for Minnesota, because if this doesn't go well, this could get really ugly pretty quickly. And they could be looking to practically have a fire sale and move some people quickly this fall.
I have to tell you, there was so much interest in JJ McCarthy, including from the Raiders.
Yeah.
And every NFL person I ask who I trust that's a proven track record at quarterback, when I ask them where would JJ fit in this draft class, they all say number 1. And so they had to make a decision. They had to make a decision because if they signed Sam Darnold long term, he wanted to be there. They wanted him. I think McCarthy would have tried to force his way out. So they had to roll the dice. Interesting times.
It is. You know
Lastly,
what? The rookie deal is so interesting. You've got Minnesota dealing with that situation. You've got Washington where they're trying to get shifted into high gear as fast as they can so they can win if they can get a Super Bowl in Jaden Daniels' rookie deal. There's no question that's what they're doing. There's no question that's why the offensive coordinator is staying right there in Washington. The scope and the shape of the rookie deal with the quarterback is fascinating. And that story in Minnesota, like you said, I mean, I'm sure they made the best decision they thought they could make, but it is pretty remarkable to watch. That's a big move. That is a bold move. And it's going to be fun to watch because, man, they're all in with JJ.
last one. QB2 is coming out. And you know about this. It's going to have, of course, Joe Burrow is going to be in it, which is going to be great. I don't remember who the second one is, but our old pal Kirk Cousins is going to be back. A fan favorite. What do you think of QB2? Are you loving this on Netflix?
I'm loving that they kept it quiet. So let's go back a bit. No QB2. They couldn't get anybody to do it. Well, it turns out they could. Now they got one of the most fascinating stories of the season with Kirk Cousins going on fire, breaking records, comeback wins, and then he gets hurt and it just totally falls apart. Somehow the organization doesn't know he's injured when people calling their games are talking about he's injured. Joe Burrow with the interesting start Cincinnati has and the wild little season they had. And then Jared Goff with a unbelievable season in Detroit that quite frankly was just completely blown up and derailed by injury. So this is going to be an interesting show. And it's really cool that a couple dozen people kept this thing so quiet. That never happens anymore. They kept it quiet. Nobody thought they were filming QB2. It's pretty cool. 3 interesting guys to see. Everybody loves the story in Detroit, and the story of Jared Goff is amazing. The Cousins controversy is probably going to be the lead story for the season just because it was so bananas, and it's going to keep on going sometime until the fall. And then Joe Burrow, you have the makings of a Hall of Fame quarterback that isn't with a franchise that quite gets to do enough for him to have a Hall of Fame record. That's what it looks like is in the making right now, Bengal fans. It's not over. Nobody's saying it's over, but that's what it kind of looks like. So now let's peel behind the curtain. Let's see what these guys are doing during the week. Let's see what they're doing a bit in the offseason. QB, the first season was very interesting. We learned some things about Pat Mahomes' ankle. We learned some things about Kirk Cousins' trophy room that maybe needs a little refresh. It was great. We can't wait until July when the thing drops. It's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about it. But How about that? Somebody kept things quiet. Doesn't really happen too much anymore. And once again, it's a hat tip to Marty Colliner. There is no QB show without Hard Knocks.
I agree with you 100%. John, tell everybody where to find you on social media, would you, brother?
Out there in the experience at JP Spartan. And this is March Madness, folks. This is March Madness. It's okay to get a little mad, but think about what is going on around the Raiders in the division also when you get too excited or too down on whatever they've done so far. And then get your knife and fork ready for the draft. I know there will be plenty of coverage, continuing coverage as we march to it. But some of the stuff starts to really take shape as we start. I mean, I'm sure it's like a little calendar counting down now how many more days to the draft.
Awesome. Thanks, John.